Let's talk about childbirth, that one word. For some people, it brings up a lot of fear, right? But for others, it's all about this incredible sense of power. So today, we're going to dig into how you can actually move from that place of fear to one of genuine empowerment. And you know what? It might just be a whole lot simpler than you think.
So this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, how is it possible that one person describes childbirth as total agony, while another says it was the most powerful, transformative experience of their life? Biologically, it's the same process. So what's the variable here? What is creating these two completely different realities?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with this weird paradox around labor pain. Then we'll uncover this hidden cycle of fear that can really trap you. After that, we'll get into the good stuff, how to break that cycle, how to build your own personal empowerment toolkit, and finally, we'll talk about a fundamental truth about your own body.
Okay, let's jump right into this paradox. And look, let's be super clear. Nobody is saying that labor isn't intense. It absolutely is. But here's the crucial distinction that we almost always miss. The intensity of what you're feeling is not the same thing as the experience of suffering. And that tiny difference, well, it changes everything. I mean, just look at these two descriptions. They're not even in the same universe. On one side, you've got excruciating suffering, and on the other, intense yet beautiful. How on earth can the exact same physical event produce such polar opposite experiences? It just doesn't seem to add up.
And here it is. This is where it all starts to make sense. The real difference maker isn't the sensation itself, that wave of intensity. It's all about how we respond to it. Think about it. Do you brace against a wave and get knocked over, or do you become fluid and ride it? That response, that's the key that unlocks the entire experience.
Okay, so if our response is what matters, what pushes us towards a negative one? Well, it turns out there's this really powerful, almost hidden cycle that can completely hijack the whole process. And it all kicks off with one very, very familiar emotion.
Yup, it all starts with fear. And let's be honest, that's completely understandable, right? I mean, fear of the unknown, fear of the pain you've heard about, fear of losing control. Of course, that's where the mind goes. That mental state is ground zero.
But here's the problem. That fear doesn't just hang out in your head. Oh no, it takes a nosedive straight into your body. Your jaw clenches, your shoulders tense up, your whole body goes into this defensive crouch, like it's bracing for impact. It starts to resist the very thing it's trying to do.
And what happens then is an all-out internal battle. Your uterus, this amazing, powerful muscle, is trying to open and do its job, but the rest of your body, totally gripped by that fear and tension, is fighting to stay closed. It becomes a tug of war. Your body is literally fighting itself, and that fight creates a whole new layer of pain that has nothing to do with the natural intensity of birth.
And this has a name. It's called the fear-tension-pain cycle. See how it works? Fear kicks things off, which creates tension. That tension makes the sensations feel way more painful. And of course, what does more pain create? You guessed it, more fear. And round you go, with the cycle just getting stronger each time. It's a classic vicious loop.
But here is the really, really good news. You are not doomed to be stuck in that cycle. Not at all. There is another way forward. We can actually make a conscious choice to step out of that loop and create a totally new, much more helpful one. And here is its perfect antidote. Instead of fear, we choose to start with trust. Trust in our bodies, trust in the process. When you trust, it becomes so much easier to relax, to let go of all that tension. And when you're relaxed, you can simply allow your body to do the incredible work it was designed to do. See? It's a virtuous cycle.
You can experience the intensity and power of labor without fearing it or suffering through it. Let that sink in. This isn't about pretending it's not a big deal. It's about fundamentally changing your relationship with that power. It's about meeting that intensity with confidence instead of with fear.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? How do we build that trust and learn how to relax in such an intense moment? Well, it's not magic. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, you have to practice. So this section is all about building your personal toolkit. And here's probably the most important thing to get. You can't just show up on Labor Day and hope your fears magically disappear. It doesn't work that way. The real work, the mental shift, the physical practice, all of it, that happens during pregnancy. The preparation starts right now. We can actually break this prep work down into 3 really clear steps. First, you've got to look your fears right in the eye. Second, you start replacing that fear with actual knowledge. And third, you practice the tools of relaxation until they become second nature.
Let's talk about that first step, because it's a big one. Getting your fears out in the open, that's not a sign of weakness. It's your biggest strength. Once you write them down or say them out loud, they lose so much of their power. They stop being these huge, scary monsters in the closet, and they become a roadmap, showing you exactly where you need to focus.
So what kinds of tools are we talking about? Well, all sorts of things. You've got mindful breathing, which is amazing for calming your nervous system. There's movement and positioning, learning how to work with gravity instead of against it. Simple things like counter pressure on your back can be a game changer. Then there's your environment. Building a birth team and a space where you feel completely safe is absolutely crucial. And maybe the biggest one of all, practicing positive self-talk to keep your own mind on your team.
And all of this brings us to our final and honestly most important idea. It's the core belief that underpins everything else we've talked about. It's about finally recognizing and truly trusting the incredible innate wisdom that is already built into your body.
Because when you manage to swap that fear for trust and that tension for relaxation, something amazing happens. You just stop fighting. You start working with the process. Your body becomes fluid and open instead of rigid and closed. Suddenly, you, your body, and your baby are all on the same team, working in perfect harmony. I want you to let this one sink in. Really hear it. You are built to birth. Your body isn't some faulty machine that needs fixing. It is perfectly, beautifully designed for this exact process. Trusting that simple, powerful truth is the absolute foundation for a better, more empowered birth. So I'll leave you with this question. This isn't about doing everything all at once. It's about taking one small, manageable step. So what is one single thing you can do right now, today, to start turning one of your fears into a source of confidence? Because that is where this whole journey really begins.